Hi, I'm George Pearson, and in this Photoshop Elements How to Cut Out a Shape project, I'll be showing you how to make this look of a shape cut out of a piece of paper. Now if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button and of course share. You can support my channel through Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe. I do a bunch of videos every week, and there's my current schedule. I'm doing Photoshop Elements videos on Monday and also frequently on Saturdays. And take a look at my complete training course for Photoshop Elements, and there's a link for that right down there in the description. Okay, let's get to it. I'll close this down and we'll start off with a brand new file. Go up here to File, come down to New, Blank File, and I'll leave this at the default Photoshop Elements size and choose OK. There we go. We'll just have that docked right there. Now the first thing we need is to put a background in here, so let's switch over to Graphics and then change this up here to Backgrounds, and I'll scroll up to the top and let's take this one right here. It's called Geometric Texture, kind of a nice bright orange texture. There it is. You can use anything you want, but I'm just using this one for this example. Let's go back to Layers now, and now let's make a duplicate of this layer. So right click where it says Background and choose Duplicate Layer and OK. There we go. We can now change the background down here to a different background. So back down to Graphics, and let's just scroll down a little bit further, and there's some nice gradients down here. We'll choose a blue gradient just to have some variation from that orange on top. Just a little bit further, we'll come down to where those gradients are. There we go. They're right down here. Oh, almost halfway down the list. You want that one there, just the gradient blue. Click on that and there it is. Okay, let's go back to our layers again. So we now have the blue gradient in the background, and on top of that is that orange geometric shape. And we're all set to do our paper cutout effect. Let me just first show you what we're aiming for here. I'll do an actual cutout of this. But first, when you bring in a background like this, it comes in as a smart layer, so we need to simplify this layer. Right click and choose Simplify Layer. You can also unlock that right there, and then notice that that little icon is gone, so this is no longer a smart layer. It's just a standard image layer. Let's now cut a hole in this one. I'll just use the rectangular selection tool, and I'll just make a big selection like that, and then hit the delete key, then makes a hole in that layer, as you can see right there. Let's just deselect that. And you can see that hole much better if we put a drop shadow onto it. So that's Layer, and then come down to Layer Style, Style Settings, and choose Drop Shadow. And let's just angle it over a little bit right there. Bring our opacity up and our distance right there. There's that effect of there being a hole cut in that shape of that image. Let's say you didn't want to do that though. You wanted to keep that layer clean without cutting a big hole in it. And I'll show you how you can do that. Let's just first undo a couple of steps here. There we go. And then deselect. So we'll do the same cutout trick, but I'll use that cat shape. So let's go down to Graphics and switch this over here to Shapes. And in Shapes, if you scroll up a bit, there's a few cat shapes up here. And a little bit further. There we go. Let's take that one right there. And that puts this cat on your project. Go up here to Layers. You can see it comes in as its own layer right there. Use the Control-T keyboard shortcut to bring up our control handles. Grab a corner and let's stretch that cat out so it's a bit larger on the page. Kind of like that. There we go. And click the green check mark for OK. So here's our shape. Now hold the Control key down and click on the thumbnail for that layer, and makes a selection right around that shape. You can now hide that, come down to our background layer. Now here's the important part on this. Go up to Select and come down to Inverse. Notice the marching ants around the outside border. What we've now done is we've now selected everything outside of the cat and not the cat. We can now use that to make a layer mask over here on this background copy layer. So click on the Layer Mask button. That gives us a layer mask, and the layer mask is hiding that part where the cat is. In essence, we're making a cut in this sheet of paper here that looks like the cat. Let's double click on the left hand side here, we'll apply a layer style, again, that same drop shadow style. So layer, layer style, style settings, drop shadow. Bring all the opacity up. Let's bring our angle over just a little bit like that. And bring the distance, you can see right there, there it is. There is that effect of there being a cutout. Now if you go larger on your size, it softens that down. So I want just a touch in there, not too much, just a touch on that. Bring our opacity down a little bit. And that looks pretty good right about there. Looks like this has now been cut out of that top sheet. You can adjust the distance, and this will give you the effect of the top sheet being further away from that back sheet. And the nice thing about this is that we haven't touched that layer. Just choose OK. There we are. So if I had a photograph in here, I wouldn't have damaged the photograph. Everything is being done with the layer mask over here on the right hand side, and click on the FX with our style settings in there. So it's the layer mask and style settings, and that gives us that effect of this cutout. You can do the same thing with text if you want to. A little bit trickier. Go up here to the shape layer. This layer, of course, is hidden, and that's fine. Let's now go over and grab the type tool right here. I have mine set for Arial Black, real thick, heavy typeface. And just click in here any old place, doesn't really matter where, and type in cat and choose OK. Use the Control-T keyboard shortcut. That brings up our control handles, and I'll just stretch this out so that's a lot bigger. There we go. Stick it right there and choose OK. Now we need to have this on that same layer mask over there. The way you do that is to hold the Control key down, click on the thumbnail for that layer. That makes a selection. We can now hide that. Come down to this layer here and make sure that you're on the layer mask. Click for the light blue outline. If you don't see it, if it's over here like that, just double click on this side. Light blue outline. Hold the Alt key down and click on that side. That opens the layer mask up here, full window. We can now go over to the paint bucket and click inside of these letters. It then fills those letters with black, and you can then deselect. So we've now added that onto our layer mask. Double click on the left hand side, and there it is. Now it's kind of red in here. That's just a quick mask effect. So click on your background layer and that goes away. Now you're out of that completely. But there it is. That is how to give this effect of cutting out a shape on a piece of paper with a shape and also inside of lettering. Now depending upon the lettering, once you get this done, you may want to come back in and tweak your effects a little bit. Just double click where it says FX. That brings your effects back up again. And let's just bring the size down just a little bit so it's not too soft. If it's too soft on the edge, it begins looking rounded, and the letters look rounded as opposed to cut out. And so adjust our angle just a bit here. Kind of like that. I want to see the cutout around the part of the A there. It looks like it's floating. And there we go. So that's how to cut out a shape in Photoshop Elements without damaging your original layer. And if you had fun with this quick project, make sure you hit that like button and, of course, share. You can support my channel through Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe. I do a bunch of videos every week. There's my current schedule. And again, take a look at my complete training course for Photoshop Elements. And there's a link for that right down there in the description.